Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Business Breakthrough Google Hangout. It's Brian Duvall here, and I'm excited today about what we're going to be covering. As the editor-in-chief of Lifestyle Entrepreneur Magazine, I'm humbled by the number of emails that are coming into our international office from all over the world, and it's nice to see that we've got some followers of our Business Breakthrough Google Hangouts and lifestyle entrepreneurs all over the world. So for those of you that are new to us, welcome. And for those of you that have been following us for and been a part of our Google Hangouts for a period of time, you're in for a real treat today. We've been interviewing a number of our clients over the last several weeks and interviewing experts in the industry of commanding maximum fees and royalties for high-end programs and services. And today I'm going to be interviewing a client of ours, Brian Duvall. And Brian today runs a very, very successful company. And I'll let him tell his story. And you're going to learn a lot today around how to take a struggling coaching, consulting, training business and just make a quantum leap. And that all starts with a decision to implement like you've never implemented before. So we're going to hear from Brian where he was at, what he's doing differently today, some of his recommendations. So you're going to learn some systems, some processes, perhaps a tool or two to help you leverage 2015 as a coaching, consulting, and training leader in your industry. And today, it's all about leadership, right? And it's about knowing how to organize your intellectual property to command maximum fees and royalties for high-end programs and services. And our modicum of for success, it is what we call the C to success, one of our speed to market principles, and that's doing what others don't do, can't do, or wouldn't think of doing. So you want to make sure you write that down. Do what others don't do, can't do, or wouldn't think of doing. Brian, I don't know if you have me on another line there. If you could just check here, because I'm hearing my voice on your computer, I think. So if you just want to check, maybe you've got the Hangout open somewhere, just close that down here. And if not, that's cool.
Well, now I've got, unfortunately I don't have earbuds, so you might be getting feedback over my computer.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I'm just really glad that I could find time in my crazy busy schedule, yours, to connect directly. So, Brian, let's start today. I've got a number of questions that I want to ask you. And before we do that, though, let's set the scene here. We do this every week. Quickly show you what's going on at the Canadian Lake Home. There's a picture of what's going on at the Canadian Lake Home. And unfortunately, with the feedback, we're going back and forth here, so I'm going to have to make sure that I white box so that when you're speaking, everybody sees you, and when I'm speaking, everybody sees me. So, Brian, first of all, why don't you just set the stage here and let everybody know who you are and what you do, and then I'd like to start dialoguing with you here and help our listeners here today with a quantum leap, a business breakthrough within their own business coaching, consulting, and training companies.
Sure. Thanks, Glenn. Well, what I've been doing since the 1980s has been along the lines of media production. I've been a producer-director doing television. I've hosted television shows, been doing websites. We developed into a digital media agency. And thanks to you, we've transformed our business a couple of years ago when we started working with you from selling media services and video production and web development to a consultancy. And we've been able to charge significantly more for our services and our time than we have for when we were selling products and services.
Okay, cool. Let's start there then. If we could just delve down a little bit deeper, describe your business before you started working with me directly, and we were working together. So just step back, if you will, and let's set the stage a little bit clearer for everybody.
Sure. Well, like I mentioned, we were a digital agency, and so we were selling video production and website development and social media and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, there's a lot of competition in that field, and particularly in today's world, when everybody has a smartphone with a HD camera built into it, everybody thinks that they're a professional videographer. And so we were competing on price, and one day I went into a client, a corporate client. They were asking about producing some web and some video, and that's when I had my first aha moment. I spent about 2 hours consulting with them in the process of pitching my ideas for what I think they should be doing with video and web. And at the end of that 2 hours, I noticed they were making notes furiously, and the gentleman sitting next to me was the CEO of the company. So I didn't know that. I just had met his and heard his name, but I didn't know his title. So I present to this room full of people, and they asked me if I could come back the following week and consult their entire business. Well, I had never consulted before. At least I've never charged for my consulting before. And so that was a very unique situation to be in, because they did not hire me to do the media production stuff that I went in to pitch. They hired me for my intellectual property and what I knew. And they were willing to pay me a lot more. And that's when the light bulb really started coming on for me about, I'm selling the wrong thing. But I didn't know how to price it or value it. And that's when I really started thinking about you, Glenn. It's like, how I'm going to need help, because this is going into a whole new territory for me and my business. And so we were selling video production, for example, at like $1,000 per video or less. You know, so we were really competing on low margins, and we're really struggling. About a month after that first aha moment kind of appointment, I was called in to a prospect who was a pharmaceutical startup company near Virginia Tech, and what they had to offer the medical industry was worth literally billions of dollars. Unfortunately, they didn't know how to position it. So when I went in and I heard their story, I realized that their positioning was all wrong. And so again, I spent a 2-hour consultation with them, offered them some advice and some guidance on how they could really transform what they were doing. And that's when I started to realize the value of what I knew, in their case, was worth millions of dollars, where what they were going to try and hire me for was to produce a 3D animated video that would be worth about $18,000, not millions of dollars. But after hearing the story and seeing the value of what I brought to the table, I knew that what I had to bring to them was worth easily $1 million, probably more. So that's when I really kind of made the decision I need to hire Glenn.
So let's. I want to delve into that deeper. But what would you say, looking back in your epiphany, I guess, of realizing that you need assistance, and we all do. What was your greatest resistance to investing in coaching up to that point?
Well, I had never invested in coaching before, and keep in mind, I had been following you for about 5 years. Okay, so I was interested in what you were saying, and it really resonated with me, but I felt like I could never afford it. And so money was an issue. Like I said, we were a struggling media company, and money was, I mean, you're not cheap. So it took some hard figuring on what we could legitimately afford and what the value of what it could mean to our business moving forward. About a year before I actually hired you, or earlier that year rather, I had hired a coach out of Boise, Idaho, to help us implement a print mail strategy. So we hired him for 1 month for $500, and the return on that investment was many thousands of dollars. And that's when I realized, so for $500 for me was very affordable, there was low risk, and I saw a massive return on investment, and that was just for teaching us how to do direct mail. So something old school and very simple. That's when I realized, if I invested in something that could really transform our business, that it could be worth not just a few $1,000s, but it could potentially be worth millions of dollars moving forward. And that's when the resistance to hiring you went away, because I saw what the massive return on hiring a good coach could be.
Brian, what did you learn first from me in terms of re-engineering your competitive advantage?
I would have to say that it was probably repositioning or reframing what we were doing. So, like I said, we had been selling video production and media production services, and you taught me to package my intellectual property so that I was no longer competing in the weeds, as I put it, but I was in a field of one. so that I was at the top of the ladder. I think it was a diagram you drew, and most people are competing on the bottom rung where everybody's clamoring. And you taught me how to move to the top rung of the ladder and stand out in a crowded field. So that's what I did. And literally a week, probably 9 days after our first consultation with you, I was at a Thanksgiving, or kind of like a between Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday networking thing at one of our clients, and one of their clients and a mutual friend came up to me and asked me what I was doing. I was talking about what you were doing to help me with my business, and so she said, well, can you help me with mine? And so we met 2 days later, and she hired me on the spot, and that was my first consulting job. And I had nothing, I had no materials, no experience, and all I used was diagramming out, like you told us to do, diagram out what we were going to do on a yellow legal pad and a pen. And we were sitting in a Subway restaurant. And so, yeah, she hired me for $5,000 on the spot and felt like she got a good deal.
Okay, cool. And you had never offered any kind of programmer service like that before?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, that's fantastic. So let's delve into that a little bit deeper. What did your programs look like and deals that you were doing before? And you've kind of already, I guess, looked at it, at least superficially, but what were your deals looking like before we started working together? And what do your deals look like today that you're putting together for your clients and that you're attracting, the kind of business that you're attracting to your company?
Sure. Well, like I said before, when we were just doing digital media, it was a one-off project. So it was either build a website for $1,500 or $600, whatever the website fee was, or shoot some video for $1,000. And so they were all one-off kinds of deals. And clients would come back to us from time to time as they needed stuff. When you taught me how to package my intellectual property and create this context of what we were going to do, it became an ongoing process that we would coach and consult people with. And instead of selling our production services, we now give that away because it's a commodity. We give it away as value added to our coaching and consulting. So you can hire us at full retail price to do those if you don't want to use our consulting. But it's included in our coaching and consulting package, so you would have to be crazy to go someplace else to hire that stuff out because you get it free included in our coaching and consulting packages. Where before it was $1,000 for a one-time job, is now our basic package is $1,000 a month. That's minimum. Our upper end packages are as high as $30,000, $40,000 for the types of businesses that are in this region. And then when we go national or international, our packages can be as high as $300,000 for coaching and consulting, and that includes the media production stuff as part of implementing the strategies that we teach and what we do with mindshare multipliers.
Brian, you bring out a good point. You talk about going, starting local and then thinking bigger within your industry. What are some of your suggestions from maximizing your own local market, like you were able to do with the training that we provided you, and then starting to look internationally, nationally and internationally, and attracting business? Because you've got some pretty big name companies that are coming to you now for your company's IP, and as you said, well into 5 or 6 figures. And even as you mentioned in the past, some of those deals now are moving into 7-figure long-term deals. What are your recommendations there for our viewers?
Go out and do it. Learning all this stuff is great, but if you don't implement, if you don't take action on it, it's not going to do you any good. And eventually you got to stop taking the time and saying that, well, gosh, I still need to learn more. Sure, we all need to learn more, but you got to get out there and do it and get some practice because you'll get better. Don't try to be perfect. Just go out and do it. Like I said, I started my first deal. I had nothing but a legal pad and a pen. I still don't have any printed brochures. To me, I think printed materials are probably not only a waste of time, they probably hurt a deal because your prospect's going to be hottest when they're sitting there talking to you. And the approach that I take, thanks to you, Glenn, you taught me how to do this, is that when I'm in that consultative state and they see me as an advisor, they put me on the pedestal because I have knowledge and information that they need to achieve their goals. And so when I'm done talking to them, typically the question that comes up with is, how soon can you get started and how much do I need to write the check out for? Where before I had placed them on the pedestal and I felt like that, the story of the beggar, please sir, may I have another, because I was trying to close them on these low-end deals. And it just totally changed the mindset. Your confidence goes up huge, to a huge degree, once you close your first deal and you see the results that you can get. So my number one advice for the local market, go out there and do it. And your belief, your self-belief in what you can achieve will grow as your confidence grows in what you're doing.
Brian, I want to pick up on something you just mentioned, and that's the fact that you don't use printed materials. I mean, I haven't used a business card now in almost 8 years, and I want to delve into that a little bit deeper. We teach you don't need, you literally don't even need a website. You don't need to hire high-end copywriters. You certainly don't want to use the traditional business funnel, and we've done a lot of teaching around that. Brian, as you mentioned, getting yourself away from the price ladder, where when you're on the price ladder, right, everybody, you'll understand this, you've been following us for any length of time, where most people and most experts will teach you to compete on the lowest rungs of the price ladder, where all the competition is, as opposed to positioning yourself on the value ladder, so as opposed to the price ladder, the value ladder, and positioning yourself, your company, at the highest rung of the value ladder, where, in the words of Brian, you're in a field of one. Brian, we've espoused for quite a few years now to be a leader in coaching, consulting, and training. You don't want to do what others don't do. You want to focus on what others don't do, can't do, or wouldn't think of doing, right? We call that, again, the seam of success. Let's go into that a little bit different. What are some of the other tools that you see experts, saying that you need that you don't use today to close deals? And let's delve into that a little bit deeper if we could.
Since my background has been in media production, I'm kind of like the anti-agency. I've got a real problem with branding. People spending huge amounts of money on one-off commercials, television, radio spots, and I've got friends who are in the media production business, and they'll charge $100,000 and up for a 30-second television spot. And of course, then they have to pay for airtime, and it's broadcast over local television or perhaps even national television, and it's not very effective. So I'm more of a direct response kind of guy, and I believe in what you've been teaching me about positioning and showcasing your expertise and packaging your IP so that people can know you, like you, and trust you. And it makes you appear to be that professional and makes you appear bigger. So my favorite tool is video production. That's part of what we include. It's a major part of our strategy. I'm actually sitting in my editing suite right now. Our chief videographer and editor is out of the office, so I can use this space for this Google interview. But so we do offer those strategies. I think that can be very powerful. I know that you're doing a lot of Google Hangouts for positioning purposes, and so we recommend that. It's the traditional stuff. One of the things I absolutely hate is when a sales rep, an advertising sales rep, basically tries to design your marketing and your advertising. And so what I've been teaching folks with your guidance has been to empower them with knowledge so that they can make wise, informed decisions. And a key component of getting to that concept with us was to follow your guidance in mapping out or diagramming out our process so we could see what our strengths were and more fully flesh out our intellectual property, because I've been following you religiously for several years now, and now that I've actually had the opportunity to work with you, it's made huge impact on our growth and development. So some very exciting things are coming down the pipeline.
So 3 things that you really mentioned there that I want to make sure that we underscore with all of our viewers. Number 1 is the importance of positioning. Number 2 is the importance of knowing how to package your IP in a way that your competitors aren't. And then thirdly, having a strategic plan. So there's our 3 Ps: positioning, packaging, and a plan of execution that is not modeling what your competitors do, and that is absolutely crucial in today's advisory age. You know, Brian, I see so many companies today, and we have a lot of large corporations that are coming to us. All of them want to be under an NDA with me because they're all paranoid. Number 1, that our work together is going to be stolen by competitors. Secondly, they don't want their competitors knowing that I'm working with them. And thirdly, they want to make sure they insulate themselves. So if I'm working with them, they don't want me working with their top competitors. What could you, for our viewers here, what have you found in today's market that's working really well for you to attract high-end clients that appreciate what you can do? So let's delve into that for a little bit here.
Okay. The number 1 thing that we do is we teach. So we hold workshops. If we're not speaking for a group, we hold and organize our own groups and educate an audience. You've got instant credibility when you're standing at the front of the room as the leader and the speaker. And so every time I do public speaking, I close 2, 3, 4 deals, depending on the size of the audience, and those deals are easily worth tens of thousands of dollars each. So teaching, being the consultant for instant credibility at the front of a room, that's our number 1 strategy. In lieu of being in front of a group, I like to record content in front of a video camera, because then it's like I'm speaking to a group 24/7, and my delivery is perfect every single time because I can edit out all my mistakes. So like I said, I love video. Those are the 2 tools that I use the most that actually get us the best deals.
Let's take a look at overthinking for a second. I find in today's market that, and I know you and I have had a discussion with that, but so many people think procrastination is the root cause of a failure to accomplish what it is that we really set out to do. And I really believe that the root cause starts with overthinking. I think overthinking leads to indecision, indecision leads to hesitation, and hesitation leads to procrastination. And the best definition that I know of when it comes to procrastination is not that you're not going to do something, but you're going to do it tomorrow. So if we take a look at overthinking, and I take a look at overthinking from a business perspective, and I start calculating, and I've done this on an Excel spreadsheet. I've done this both within my company, and I've done it with my wife and shared what I have found, because ultimately, right, we all report to a higher authority in our lives. I know you report to your CPA wife. I report to my wife. And it's amazing, I think, we run multi-million-dollar companies, right? And the person that we fear the most is probably our wives. And so we want to make sure that we justify everything that we do. When I started showing my wife, before I even hired my very first coach, and when I was in teaching, I'm a former teacher, I invested to the tune of about close to just a little over $65,000 US. That was more than I was making as a vice principal of an elementary school 12 years ago. It was a big gulp for me. But I started looking at what overthinking cost me. And at that time, I was I started looking at what overthinking cost me and, the wrong advice, doing what I could have been doing but wasn't doing. I was conservatively around about $1 million, about 1.25 to 1.3 million, just very conservatively. Then I take a look at in my early days in business, and not, one of our concepts, and I want all of you to write it down, is one of your speed to market principles that you want to make as your competitive advantage in 2015 is speed. Speed has to be your competitive advantage. And the most successful entrepreneurs, entrepreneurial coaches, consultants, and trainers today have to make speed their competitive advantage. and you've got to know how to make quick decisions. And I've found, Brian, that very conservatively in the very first few years of business, not still overthinking cost me to the tune of around $2.5 million. What would you say, if I just throw it out there, maybe you've had these discussions with your wife because she is a CPA, and I'm sure she's recorded everything in terms of, you know, bad decisions, etc. But conservatively, I'm having a little bit of fun here with us together here at the expense of ourselves, and really, you know, elevating our wives where they should be, because they're key in both of our lives. I know that. But conservatively, what would you say overthinking has cost you as a business owner?
Golly, that'd be an interesting exercise. I've never tried to map that out because my heart would break. Probably in the millions of dollars. And here are two things. I'm terrible at procrastinating. It's if I feel nervous or uncomfortable, I hate rejection. So if anything that would cause me to feel that anxiety, I tend to put off. But however, I have learned from other folks some really pretty cool strategies to help me overcome that. Number one has been something called time mapping. It's just put everything on your calendar. I use Google Calendar, and I put everything on there and the estimated time I expect it to take. This very quickly shows you that you've got very little time. Now, there are some things that you absolutely have to have on your calendar because you can't live without. One is sleep, another is time to eat, and then there are things about family time because you've got to have balance in your life. When you map those things out on your calendar, you see that there are very few hours in a day that you can actually work on achieving your goals. And so it forces you to make choices on procrastination kinds of activities like checking your email or your social media status and all that kind of stuff, and forces you to really focus on your goals, because every time you make a choice to delay working on the goal, it pushes the goal out by a geometric scale. So if I push it off by 4 hours, it doesn't push my goal out 4 hours, it pushes it out a week. So it's the time mapping really helped in putting things in perspective. I'm creating context for what my time and value is worth. Another particularly useful tool has been to get people around me as part of my team. I think one of the biggest failures, and I'm a former Chamber of Commerce executive, so for years I've worked with small businesses and startups, literally thousands of them, and the number one reason for failure, I think, is that sole proprietors and individual startup type companies don't surround themselves with teams. One thing I've come to realize, there are 4 different types of people. One is an initiator, one is an ideator who comes up with the ideas, one's an elaborator, which is my personality type. I'm an elaborator. Elaborators figure out how to do stuff. And you have completers, the people who actually go out and do it. So you need all 4 types. If you don't, then you get stuck in a cycle, and elaborators will tend to just elaborate and never go out and do. So it was very important for me to get completers and initiators on my team. So those 2 revelations have also helped move my company forward faster, because it's not just me anymore. I have business partners and team members that I rely on.
Brian, really quickly here, I just want really quick answers here, but let's look at a comparison. Describe or discuss what your business looks like today versus what it looked like before we started working together. Just really quickly, just that comparison.
Okay. Well, before we were doing one-off deals, competing on price, and we were struggling, and I was working out of my home. Today, I have offices, an editing suite, 2,000 square foot studio space. We've got the latest high-tech gear, and I've got a team of people. And now we're doing deals that are long-term deals where clients, corporate clients, not small mom and pops, but corporate clients, are paying us nice contracts on a monthly basis for a year at a time. And our business has grown. We're no longer competing on price. We charge what we're worth.
How is your life different today, before and after?
It's a lot less stressful. We're not worrying about money and how we're going to make it. It's a different kind of stress because now have to meet client expectations. But it's a better way to be because you're serving others and you're not so focused on survival. You're focused on service and goal achievement. So I love it.
That's fantastic. Finally, what's a specific recommendation that you would highly recommend to all of our viewers right now?
I've got two. One, hire a coach who can get you to your goals faster so that you're not trying to figure this stuff out on your own, and somebody who can hold you accountable and see your life from a fresh perspective, because a lot of times we're too close to it and we need fresh eyes on what we're doing. And number two, take action, immediate action. Go out and start doing the things that make you uncomfortable.
So in order to, and just I guess to pick up on what you just said, we talked about the 3 Ps today, right? Making sure that you have positioning, making sure, and that should be positioning yourself away from what your competitors are doing, and using tools and systems and processes that your competitors aren't using. That's crucial, and you've Brian started to discuss a few of those today with you. Packaging your IP. You heard Brian talk about the importance of understanding the new realities of the advisory age, and this is the IP age. So you want to be very strategic on what you do, and that leads to our third P, which is having a plan of execution. So, Brian, thank you very much. I want to just finish off here today by going back to where we began. This is what's going on at the Canadian Lake Home. Our next one-day business acceleration intensive will not be at the Canadian Lake Home due to potential weather. We do live in Canada where we can get some weather, and this is the lake where the Canadian Lake Home is located, and our next one-day intensive. And these are filling faster and quicker. Our early notification list is now well in excess of 10,000 people. But if you would like to be a part of our next one-day intensive and would like to be vetted by me directly, we have top entrepreneurs coming in from all over the world. Entrepreneurs like Brian Duvall. We have leaders in coaching, consulting, and training. That's what this exclusive training is for. And this isn't mass marketed. We don't spend time mass marketing our programs, our events, etc. because of, and we are in the lucky position of really choosing the kind of entrepreneurs that we want to specially invite to our one-day business acceleration intensives. You will absolutely love our next one-day intensive. Our next one-day intensive is located at the Vegas Sandcastle. It's an exclusive setting. You can get all the details, and I just showed you a quick picture here, but you can get those details by going to newgurumodel.com/one-day. newgurumodel.com/one-day. You can also phone our international office, and this is the same number that all of our clients phone, 519-542-3043. It's been the number of our company for the last 12 years. And the URL is newgurumodel.com/one-day. There are a number of mentors of Lifestyle Entrepreneur magazine coming to our February one-day intensive. And if you would like to be considered for that, you'll definitely want to go to newgurumodel.com/one-day and check that out. And understand that in 2015, it's all about speed. And never has it been more crucial to know how to execute faster and quicker than what your competitors are doing, and doing what your competitors don't do, can't do, or wouldn't think of doing. We are at the forefront of what's going on in coaching, consulting, and training. I'll tell you right now that a little over 96% of coaches, consultants, and trainers struggle in today's marketplace. And the reality is, if you just quickly go to Amazon and you type in a keyword phrase that would represent what your potential candidates would look for in choosing a coach, consultant, and trainer in your industry, you'll see that not only are there thousands of competitors in your industry, the realities are there's probably tens of thousands of programs and services that are out there, and thousands and thousands and thousands of experts in your industry, with more and more hundreds of experts coming online every single day, writing books, publishing books, and positioning themselves as the authority. So being an authority figure is not good enough anymore. You've got to know how to stand apart from all the authority figures in your market. So you've got to know how to execute a lot faster and quicker. And Brian is lucky, and not just lucky, but he made a very intelligent decision. And today Brian sits in the top 99 percentile in his industry. And the reason why is there is a quantum difference between companies that are crushing it and achieving a market domination and those that are struggling. And that it used to be like this, now it's tilted this way. And there is a quantum leap between those that are making it, the 99 plus percentile, and the 96% that are struggling. And that those that are in the 97, 98 percentile maybe have a pretty good business, but the problem is if you don't know how to position yourself at the forefront of what's going on in 2015 and beyond, you are going to lapse into the 96 percentile where most coaches, consultants, and trainers are struggling today. And never have we seen more demand on our company time with coaches, consultants, and trainers contacting our company, small business owners, medium-sized companies that understand they need to know how to leverage the new realities of the IP age. So I want to exhort you right now, if you are a leader or want to be a leader in your industry and understand that you've got to be a leader, the realities today necessitate that you act and position and plan and posture and position, notice all the P's that we talked about today, your advice, your level of execution in the marketplace. I want to encourage you to go to newgurumodel.com/one day, and every potential candidate is carefully vetted by me because you'll be learning directly from me the IP that our company uses and that clients like Brian use and world-class leading coaching, consulting, and training companies use because there are clients today globally. So I want to exhort you to doing what others don't do, can't do, or wouldn't think of doing in 2015. Brian, thank you so much for your advice today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
On behalf of Brian Duvall and Duvall Media, this is Glenn Dietzel speaking, and on behalf of the entire Awaken team, I salute you to, as I mentioned last week, and we talked about creating a new you in 2015. This week I wanted you to understand the importance of accountability and really taking what you're doing and getting close to the source of momentum and playing at a level that you've never dreamed of or that you've always hoped of playing at, but have never been able to reach it. And I exhort you to getting close to the source of momentum in 2015. Have a great one, everyone. I look forward to our next Business Breakthrough Google Hangout at 2 o'clock EDT on Mondays.